welcome back to ABC of Storytelling 2.0. My name is Rituparna Ghosh and I am your go-to person for everything around stories and storytelling. This is a very special series that I am creating and curating just for you, no matter who you are, whether you are an entrepreneur, a manager, a leader, a business owner, a professional, a marketing or a sales executive, or trainer, coach, anyone who's trying to use stories and storytelling, anyone trying to use stories to connect, communicate, and convince their stakeholders to take action. This is the series for you. We are on the letter N, and I have quite a few of them for you, so let's get started. Let's begin with needs. A story is pretty much like a product. Now, for a moment, I want you to think like an entrepreneur who's out there to sell a product. Now, if your product does not solve your customer's need, then no one's going to buy it. A story is pretty much like that. If your story does not satisfy your listener's need and maybe their wants, your story is not going to take you anywhere. But then what are human needs and how do you assess your listener's needs? Think of yourself as a person. Recall yourself when you were a child, when you were growing up, your teenage years, when you left home to go to college, when you took up your first job. What were your needs? Your needs evolved with age, with time. What were your needs when you were a manager? What were your needs when you got married? What were your needs when you became a parent? No matter where you were in your age, I'm sure if you put yourself in that, look back at your own life, you will realize your needs have evolved. And that will help you understand that your listeners, your audience, they have certain needs and they expect you to fulfill that with a story. When you fulfill the needs of a person with your story is striking home. Now, there are some basic human universal needs, the needs of love, respect, companionship, togetherness, but there could also be some special needs that have come out because of a certain conflict, loss, a need to come together as a team, or to look beyond and get over a certain challenge at one particular point of time. Now, these temporary needs are the special needs of people that can be addressed through stories. Even the universal needs can very well be addressed by stories. Always remember, as a storyteller, you have to satisfy your listener's need through a story so that they come drawn to you, that they are drawn to you and your stories that you tell. It is not about satisfying your own need to tell a story and share a message, share a moral, and tell people what to do. It is more about how you give them what they are looking for. How do you assess your needs? How do I assess my needs? I am somebody who works with varied audience. I work with children, I work with adults, I work with not-for-profits, I work with corporates, I work with brands. Each of my audience is very unique and distinct, and each of them have different needs and they have different storytelling needs. How do I satisfy my customers and their needs? To know that and to get a sneak peek into my needs analysis, write to me and I will tell you how. N for narrative. What's the difference between a story and a narrative? Well, if you flip through a dictionary, it will tell you that both the words can be used interchangeably. But for my sake, I want you to look at the two words as two distinct meanings. Let me tell you how. A story is a singular story with a sole purpose of its own. A narrative is a set of stories that come together to form a picture about you or an opinion about you in your stakeholder's mind. If you're an organization that would like to be seen as an organization that gives equal employment opportunities to everyone, think for a moment what are the steps that you are taking to really support your belief. Now, you may not put this in your manifesto, like we are an organization that believes in equal employment for all, but which is a very good statement to put. But even if you don't spell it out, what are the actions that you're taking that forms the narrative about you in the minds of outsiders as well as insiders? Now, these actions that you take form an opinion, help your listeners, your audience, your stakeholders form an opinion about you. Now, within the communication and public relations and image building world, Think of the stories that you tell about yourself, your work, and how those stories, when put together, form a narrative in your audience's mind. Now that's what a narrative really means. Every story is like a little Lego piece, a little brick which comes together, fits into a bigger picture, into a bigger wall that really tells something about you. As a storyteller and an entrepreneur, I would like to invite you to look into my work and tell me what is the narrative that has formed in your head about me and my work at Your Story Bag. You can write to me, you can DM me on social media, and we can have a conversation started right away about N for narrative on ABC of Storytelling 2.0. Now this is a long list and I would like to be crisp and quick. Here is a list of no-nos or the never to do things while you are storytelling. Number 1, never preach or moralize. Nobody likes lessons, nobody likes to be told what they have to do. So never, never, never sermonize or preach or moralize a story and tell your audiences what to think. Instead, liberate them, let them think freely, let them be right or wrong, let them exercise their thinking skills, and that will make you a very, very enigmatic storyteller. Never stereotype. The world is filled with stereotypes, and it's easy to go back to stereotypes when you're telling a story. If you're a storyteller, don't go by the stereotypes that have been set by society. Instead, challenge them. When you challenge stereotypes in the minds of your audiences, they naturally sit up, they lean in, and they listen to you because it's a story that challenges their own accepted stereotypes. And that's why you will be a storyteller worth listening to. Never distort. If you don't have a story, don't tell it. Don't make it up. Don't fabricate. And it's all right to not have a story, but it is always, always wrong to distort a story when there is none. So never distort. Never plagiarize. If you have heard a story, if you've liked it, if you've read a story, go ahead and share it again. But always credit the source, tell the person from who you took it, if it's a real living person, and always tell your listeners where that story comes from. Be truthful. The moment you become, when you plagiarize a story, you become a copycat. You never become an original. So try to be an original and don't ever plagiarize. Never stagnate. It's very easy to get attached to our stories, to not look for new stories, to not churn the story machine, to find new stories worth telling. So that's one good important tip that I'd like to give everyone. Never stagnate. Keep looking for new stories. You never know what you're going to find, and you never know where that one story will be most useful. That's a lot of N's for you, right? That's all we have time for this week on ABC of Storytelling 2.0. How do you like the ABCs? Are they useful? Do you have a story that you'd like me to listen, hear, read, and share my opinion? We can get on a discovery call. You can write to me at contact@yourstorybag.com, and we would love to have a conversation with you. Until the next letter, until the next ABCs, happy storytelling.